Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Theros here from Dublin. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Zach Hill, #1 ranked Magic player in the world, right there. Josh Utter-Leyton. He goes by Raptor. That was his Magic Online name as well. And he is playing against Mark Morrison, also of the United States.
Yeah.
And we have a pretty slow start here. Just mana bases being developed. Get a quick look at Josh Utter-Leyton's really stellar statistics. He hasn't been around as long as some of the other players, and he has put together a magnificent career in a very short period of time. It looks like Josh is actually on Grixis colors, which is our nickname for black, red, and blue, and he has the natural Grixatron.
he's got Grixatron.
You like that? Yeah, he's got the all three of them. All three of his land colors on turn 3 here. He plays a Returned Phalanx, which is a noted blocker. We like that one quite a bit here. Ooh, this is a card that you like quite a bit here. It's the Crucifix. Not Crucifix, Crufix.
The Prophet of Crufix.
Yeah, so Prophet of Crufix is a 5-mana 2/3, which that's not the good part. The good part is you get to untap your lands on your opponent's untap step, and you can play creatures as though they had flash. And so that lets an early one, which is what we have here from Mark, it can really allow him to just dump his hand on the table much, much, much quicker than his opponent
Well,
can.
and he's actually got the combo,
which
is Prophet into Nessian Asp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is, it basically lets you get your 2/3 for free. It gives you an instant speed 4/5.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of mana with which to monstrous it, untap, and still cast something if you get to that point.
Now, it looks like Mark has played a Nessian Courser here, which he has offered up for a trade to Josh Utter-Leyton, and Josh took it. He says, yeah, take that thing out, and here's a Lightning Strike to take out the Prophet of Crufix right now. So there was a little bit of value gain there from Morrison, a reasonable tempo hit, but he, unfortunately for him, his Prophet has had enough fun for right now. But he still does get the Nessian Asp, and he decided not to play it last turn for some reason. He does get it down now, though, now that the Crufix is gone.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was trying to play around a counter or something, but Josh doesn't have dissolve mana up. Now we're seeing the unicorn get a little bit bigger. Josh, the reason he's doing that is just trying to find a 4th land. He's got a grip full of very expensive spells. Double Erebos' Emissary, Keepsake Gorgon, Thassa's Bounty. Great hand from Josh, but just no lands to cast it.
Yeah, pretty awkward to have to cast that card on your opponent's creature, but you do what you got to do. Hitting land drops is how Josh is going to end up winning this game, and we see monstrous hit thanks to that unicorn there, and all of a sudden it's 8 damage hitting Josh Utter-Leyton. So Mark Morrison, he is going to try to capitalize as strongly as possible on Josh's mana woes early by creating a massive 8-power threat that is going to end this game in short order if Josh can't come up with some way to deal with it. He kicks things off by playing an Erebos' Emissary, a reasonable start to the proceedings, but that on its own isn't going to be able to block that thing.
Well, and he actually doesn't have enough creatures to even be able to discard, and that Sip of Hemlock takes it away.
It does. The extra 2 damage from Sip of Hemlock plus the damage on board means that Josh Utter-Leyton stumbled a bit on mana. Mark Morrison was able to get ahead thanks to the Prophet and take game 1 here. Qualifiers for the next Pro Tour have begun, and the format is Theros Sealed Deck. You could be on the big stage for Pro Tour Born of the Gods, taking place February 21st through 23rd in Valencia, Spain. For more information, visit wizards.com/PTQ.
So one of the things we saw about that match, this is not a format with cards like Doomblade, Dark Banishing, at common, Pacifism, even not a card that we see. So when you're behind on mana and your opponent has like a monstrous Nessian Asp or even a monstrous Ill-Tempered Cyclops, there's just not a lot you can do about it. Your damage-based removal can't take care of it. The best thing you can do is either, Grip Tide or Voyage's End, which doesn't really solve the problem.
No. This is where cards like Baleful Eidolon really shine.
Right.
We've seen Sedge Scorpion do this type of thing time and time again where, you can make a huge green or red threat and just hold it at bay with your 1 or 2 drop forever. Especially Baleful Eidolon, since you can bestow it, create a death touch blocker that even if it gets killed, you've got a backup plan there. That's where, like in that scenario, the Sip of Hemlock that we saw from Mark wouldn't do it. Let's take a look at Mark And what are his accomplishments here?
Yeah, so he's played at 5 Grand Prix. He has a 60% win rate, which again, or 60.5% even, which
solid.
Yeah, is solid. It's kind of at the level we were talking about, where it's like, okay, you're really experiencing some pretty regular success. His first GP was at Grand Prix Washington 2010, so I mean, he's this pretty recent player, and he won as a PTQ to get here, and this is his first Pro Tour. So
yeah.
You're not thrilled to be in the same draft pod as currently #1 ranked Josh Utter-Leyton.
Right.
But, I mean, he was able to get ahead so far.
He seems pretty chill. For somebody who's facing down the machine-like, look at that guy. He is so good.
Oh, yeah, Josh, he's dominant,
he's a Terminator. I mean, the guy is just... You can't phase him.
I will say that I definitely approve of Mark's shirt.
The hot pink shirt.
Oh, yeah,
there?
Absolutely love it.
It looks sweet.
Might have to go get myself a copy. Might have to clone it. Phantasmal image targeting shirt. I think it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about death touch creatures. The other thing that we're seeing that kind of is at least judging by these matchups, maybe more prevalent than we realize is actually just 3-color decks.
Yep.
We see Josh firmly submitted in Grixis. Mark Morrison green-black, but he's playing 2 unknown shores, so he's splashing something off of that. Really kind of atypical kinds of decks relative to what we're used to seeing.
So we're getting a quick update from Rashad on the back tables, and Shenhar has 8 mana in play with a Colossus of Akros, which is that huge card we were talking about. Yeah, 8 mana. And he's also got Boulder Fall. So getting there, doing it big over there for Shenhar.
Doing it the hard way, just play 8 lands in a row. All right, where it looks like, again, you see him showing the coverage reporter exactly what his hand is, but it looks pretty reasonable to me.
From this angle, it looks like he has about six or 7 Ashioks in his hand.
Yeah, That's it must be nice to have that many Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
And we see Josh taking a mulligan right now, so you got to be pretty happy if you're Mark in this place. Up a game, decent hand, got both colors of mana, keeping your 7 cards, and Josh down a game mulliganing.
Yeah, you definitely have to be happy about that. I mean, he'll take any edge you can get against the #1 ranked player in the world. All right, we've got Jimmy Hartman. And on one of our side tables, it's Reed Duke versus Jimmy Hartman, and we were told that Jimmy's picked up the first game in that match. I had a chance to check out Reed Duke's deck. It looked pretty good.
Oh, yeah? What did it contain?
Yeah, I think it was black-white.
Oh, solid.
Yeah, I think that was Reed's. I saw a lot of decks in a very short period of time. All right, so Josh Utter-Leyton, again, going down to 5 cards, but look at him. He looks exactly the same as when like he wins the Pro Tour. It's like, yeah.
I mean, that is a skill that I don't necessarily possess, which is refusing to tilt.
Yeah, you wear your emotions on your sleeve more.
Very Ben Starkian.
Yeah.
I guess. So, okay, we're seeing sort of what I'm looking at his hand now. He appears to be splashing for Horizon Scholar, which is a pretty good card to add blue to your deck too. Again, he's I don't believe playing a single basic island. Although I could be wrong about that, but obviously 4/4 flyers that draw you cards are not bad. Yeah, he's splashing off a pair of unknown shores and a Temple of Deceit. No islands in his deck. The blue cards are 1 Griptide and 1 Horizon Scholar and 1 Prophet of Krufix. It looks like he has a little bit of green mana fixing as well. Yeah, or no, actually he doesn't. He's just trying to kind of get there off 2 Opaline Unicorns.
Okay. Yeah, it seems fine. The unicorns can certainly help you do it. I think you'd be much happier to have the shores be elsewhere, but right away we see Josh Utter-Leyton, even the #1 ranked player, misses land drop sometimes. He's had to mulligan down a bit, and well, he's found a pseudo land drop here, but he is facing down a 3/3 Nessian Courser here from Mark Morrison. So Mark is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's applying pressure early in the game. Let's see if he can keep that up. This is going to be a huge turn here. If Mark can bolster his board presence with a big 4-drop, it's going to put him in the driver's seat to finish off Josh before he can get settled. If he is not able to do that, then Josh has a chance actually to get back in this potentially.
Yeah, but that Agent of Horizon's just huge there. It's not only 3 damage, adding to the already existing 3 damage a turn clock. Mark can actually use the ability, meaning that if Josh is trying to stabilize with permanence and doesn't have removal spells, Mark can just hit for 3 a turn. There's not really a lot Josh can do about it.
Mark had an interesting decision there. He has Fade into Antiquity in his hand, and he was considering using it on the Traveler's Amulet to just completely lock Josh out. But if he does that, then Josh can just draw lands naturally, and Mark wouldn't have been developing his board any further.
Well, and that's exactly right. I mean, having another threat on the table is sort of like putting your opponent behind another turn, because you don't have to take off an entire turn just to do that.
All right, so this is pretty decent here, though. Mark Morrison really, he went 3-3-5 on his drops. But that's a Baleful Eidolon, right?
Yeah, it's a Baleful Eidolon, and crucially, it's an enchantment, meaning that this Fade into Antiquity can get rid of it. Yeah, so, and that's exactly what we see.
Yeah, so things working really well for Mark Morrison here. He's had a good draw, and Josh Utter-Leyton has to extend the hand. Mark Morrison, a little bit of luck on his side, and he's able to defeat the #1 ranked player in the world, Josh Utter-Leyton.
Right, sometimes you've got to let fortune fall your way.
That's right. You can play Magic at a store near you every Friday. Earn Planeswalker points and battle against your friends in Friday Night Magic. October's FNM promo card is Gore Clan Rampager. Visit wizards.com/FNM to find a store near you. I know how much you love that card, Zach.
I am obsessed with Gore Clan Rampager.
That guy's beefy.
The best thing about Gore Clan Rampager is it has the ability gets drawn off of Domri Raid. Very important
and
ability.
It has very spell-like qualities as well. So Pentes looks like he's from Cyprus here, and he is actually up a game over Shenhar. So even though Shenhar was able to get a bunch of mana, apparently it wasn't quite enough in that first game. Yeah, you can see I actually can get a look there at Michaelis's T-shirt, and I see it says Cyprus right on it. It's got a little mana symbols there. It looks kind of cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, a quote, I believe, from Jace on the back. Or it's something from some counterspell. Yeah, snide blue mage quote. But,
the one where you just envision somebody holding their hand up like, wait.
Yeah, hold please.
I am not going to allow such things. Yeah.
So
you get a look at Shenhar. He is number 3, I believe, in the rankings. I think Ben Stark is 2, and Shenhar is number 3. We'll see on our graphic when it comes up. But yeah, Shenhar, our world champion for the year.
I believe 5 Grand Prix top 8s.
That's right, with 3 wins.
Yeah, which is insane. Along with his absurd GP win rate, 68% win percentage, 75% in standard, and 70% against Hall of Fame players.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, Shenhar an absolute machine.
He really is. All right, so a Sedge Scorpion to kick things off for Pentes. I don't, it looks pretty decent here. He's facing down a green-red deck, and a Sedge Scorpion against green-red is one of the best cards you can have.
Yeah, I mean, like Deadly Recluse, as we saw in M13 draft, it just kind of capable, not quite the green Doomblade, as Luis has been known to refer to it, especially against a first striker, but still a very, very good card. You made that up?
Yeah,
oh, I always just give Luis credit.
Yeah, he deserves it.
When it's a ridiculous statement that's still more or less true.
Yeah, it's generally a Luis statement. That is for sure. All right, so we see a pretty awkward hand here for number 3 ranked Shenhar. There's a boulder fall, which is it's mulligan-like at this point in the game.
It's mulligan-like, but I mean, it's not as though Pantelides is putting a lot of pressure on him, and
it's true.
Currently it would wipe out both of his creatures.
That is true.
He only needs a mere 5 more mana to cast it.
Unfortunately for Shenhar, I think he's going to actually just miss his land drop this turn.
I mean,
like you mentioned, he's not really under pressure, so it's not the end of the world here, but it could get ugly. He's trying to decide between a couple of cards. He's just going to pass the turn back, it looks like.
Now, he's got 3 mana open for Boon Satyr, which he could cast. Doesn't really want to trade it with the 3/2. You could cast it, threaten the, or I guess you have a first striker, so your opponent's probably not going to attack into it in any case.
And that's an Omen Speaker for McCallus, and he is taking a look. He's getting his scry here. Again, though, Shenhar can't be too bummed about that, right? I mean, there's just not really any pressure coming in. McCallus would have to spend his whole turn's worth of mana to get his unblockable guy going, and yeah, he doesn't want to do that. He needs to keep developing his board. So
yeah, we see McCallus put away, I believe it was 1 card. On the scry.
One on top, one on bottom?
Yeah. Now, Shenhar could cast Boon Satyr here, but you really want to save that until you can bestow it. Again, Shenhar missing another land drop, but not under a lot of pressure, as time defeats can get him out of a hole if McCallus plays anything smaller.
Right.
So really just kind of a lot of sitting around drawing cards right here. McCallus missing a land drop now, too.
Okay. Destructive Revelry in hand for Shenhar as well.
All right, there we go. Got a 4th land finally. The question is now what to do with it.
He's got an Ill-Tempered Cyclops that he could run out. I see he's got time defeats. He's got 2 of them, Nessie and Asp, for when he hits a few more land drops here, and he still has that Destructive Revelry in hand as well. Quick update, Yuya Watanabe up a game over Gabby Isak.
Now, we see McCallus, we see Shenhar not casting Ill-Tempered Cyclops. McCallus representing a lot of counter spells. He has a ton of mana up.
Yeah, he just played a Horizon Chimera on end step as well. So there's some pressure.
That is some pressure, and it also means that McCallus is getting ahead on life as well. And I mean, successfully time-walking Shenhar, who didn't want to run anything into a counter spell.
Yeah.
Pretty huge turn for McCallus there.
Right, and now we see that McCallus has decided to be the assertive player here, and he's attacking with his 3/2 Flying Trample. He's also attacking with his Unblockable. And, he just got in for 6, and Shenhar could do nothing but say, sure, I take it all.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially a 3-turn clock, 2 turns to get Shenhar down to 1, meaning that if McCallus wanted to Alpha Strike, he could, just kind of forcing Shenhar to do something. Now the Grip Tides from McCallus are going to be just absolutely incredible here.
They absolutely
forcing Shenhar to miss land drops. I mean, Shenhar not casting that 4-drop is really putting him way behind.
Yeah, he's falling way behind now.
Horizon, or what is the 3/2? Again?
Horizon Chimera?
Horizon Chimera. Is that what it is?
The 3/2 Flying Trample?
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, I'm confusing my Horizon Chimeras and my Horizon Scholars, but, I mean, that play is just vicious.
There's also an Agent on the table here, too.
Yeah, right.
A lot of Horizon.
And Agent, the Horizon is what it's all about right now. The Agent, the unblockable ability costs 3 mana a turn, but not really easy threat to deal with.
Man, these Grip Tides are going to be just nasty. No, it doesn't look like he wants to use it, though.
Yeah, if you use Grip Tide here, you're not able to make your Agent unblockable.
Before the draw step.
First you go?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he says before your draw step, now I'm going to Grip Tide. All right, so he just wanted to just make sure that happens. So this is during Shenhar's upkeep.
Yeah, and I mean, McCallus not really going to, not a whole lot of benefit doing out of your main phase.
Whoa. Yeah,
he put it in your hand.
He put it in his hand because of the draw steps.
Yeah. But definitely a good thing to catch.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, the attack for 3 was still the same clock, because now he can just attack for 6 twice again with unblockable spells. And Shenhar, grip full of very powerful cards, but just not able to really play them out in time. We had when Nate was doing his exercise about what first picks do you take, the Horizon Chimera was at the top of the list. Awkward to first pick a gold card, but the card is so powerful.
It's sweet. All right, this is Fate Foretold.
Jeez.
He's going to draw an extra card. Try to hit another blue mana source here. He still has been kind of crimped with just that one island for the duration of the game. And yeah, look, this means that he doesn't... Oh, he's attacking with this. So what is he representing here, Zach?
I mean,
he's stacking a 1/1 into a first striking 2/2, so he's got to have something, right?
Yeah, I mean, he happens to have Savagers. He also just is like, maybe I'll just be willing to draw a card. Who cares?
Okay.
Don't really want to block with the ill-tempered Cyclops, so.
And there's a mana producer. Unfortunately, it's just not what Shenhar has in mind here.
Yeah, McCallus not able to represent his Annul or his Triton tactics, but just doesn't really matter a whole lot right now. I mean, I have to wonder if he could have just activated the Agent of Horizons and just got in for 3 more damage, threaten lethal next turn. But I totally understand he wants to draw a second blue mana for both Prescient Chimera and Sealock monster that are already in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, if he mises an island there, he's pretty happy. He gets to activate. He gets to get in there.
Yeah, and you don't want to lean too heavily on your Agent of Horizons because your opponent might have something like Magma Jet, in which case it just, you know, the clock doesn't really matter much. But I mean, Shenhar now, he's got time. He's got a time to feed, which can help pad his life total, but just not very many good targets for it.
All right, so he's going to use this turn to play a Voyaging Satyr, and then he's got an Ordeal of Nylea, I believe, that he's played on the Ill-Tempered Cyclops. So, unfortunately, you know, this is one aspect of the Ordeals that you have to take into consideration when you play a deck with them, which is that they only do something if you're able to attack. And Shenhar is not in a position where he can attack, so that Ordeal is probably not going to do anything. I mean, he needed to get out of his hand, but it's just, this isn't a situation where he can actually use it.
Although one thing that it is setting up, and I agree, most of the reason he casts it's the only time he's going to have 2 mana available this game. He is setting up, you know, not dying on this attack, falling to 1 due to the evasive creatures, the next turn attacking and using time to feed to take care of the Agent of Horizons, which would put him back up to 4, meaning that he wouldn't die due to the Horizon Chimera again.
Very nice.
Which would allow him to then use the other time to feed. He would actually probably target the Horizon Chimera and not the Agent first. Right. So he has a sequence of plays that can get him out of this situation, and he has to cast the Ordeal right now in order to open up that option. Right,
that's great. Super tight here. I mean, because this plan is very precarious. Right?
Oh, it's extremely precarious.
Yeah, if McCallus plays another threat of any type, then all of a sudden the wheels come off. All right, so.
And he finally gets that second blue mana.
He flicks it down on the table with force, and you can see he's got a grip of blue cards here. He's got 4 out of his 5 cards are blue. But he just passes a turn back here, and still no land here for Shenhar. He had to block with his Voyaging Satyr, which was a mana source, which he now doesn't have, because a Nessian Asp, you know, is like, to make the plays that we were talking about earlier, that's going to be an important thing to sort of hold down the game. But now Shenhar is just in an incredibly awkward position. Yeah,
and the extra blue mana from McCallus is just huge right now, because that Triton tactics means that not only is this creature unlikely to die to time to feed, but that Shenhar wouldn't even gain the life from it. Which means that Shenhar is still likely to die to those 2 evasive creatures.
Time to feed.
So looks like Triton Tactics is going to act as a functional counterspell here, and it's a critical one. The life gain and the creature dying are 2. Shenhar needed both of those things to happen. It wasn't just like kill your guy. Yep, and that's it. Shenhar scoops up his permanence, and McCallus, Pentes, he won the match.
Yeah.
So we saw 2 upsets here in the feature match area in quick succession. We saw the #1 ranked player, Josh Utter-Leyton, fall to Mark Morrison. And then shortly after that, we just had McCallus, Pentes, and he defeated #3 ranked Shenhar. We've got Yuya Watanabe still up a game over Gabby Isak. We're going to jump over to that one, I believe. Show your devotion to Theros today by purchasing your Magic apparel at mtgmerch.com. We're sporting some some Theros-related gear here today, so you guys can get a look when we're on camera of some of the shirts you can pick up over at MTG Merch.
I'm kind of digging it. All Theros-related shirts right now.
I'm wearing one of those shirts right there. Look at that Elspeth one. That one is...
That's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Willoughby was digging the Nyx-themed Planeswalker symbol. Getting a nice subtle reference in there. Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look here. You see Yuya Watanabe. He's the one who always looks like he's so pained, but then he just wins all the time anyway. And
he's also the one that's always winning all the time.
He is indeed. And he's ranked 4 on our pro rankings right now. You see Gabby Isak. He's on the right-hand side. And like I mentioned a minute ago, Yuya's up a game here. So let's see what the board state looks like. It looks like Yuya has, a Prognostic Sphinx trigger, which he's resolving and putting... It looks to be 2 cards on the top. He's also attacking with a Leaf Crown Dryad. And there's a Ill-Tempered Cyclops that's just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, some pretty good rares for you. You've got Nylea, you've got Prognostic Sphinx, holding the ground there with the Scorpion. Just add a little bit to your green devotion while you're at it. I wouldn't mind being in Yuya's position right now.
This seems pretty decent for him for sure. He plays a Staunch-Hearted Warrior post-combat here. And he's looking to be in good spot. This is the first time that we've seen a god bless our presence on the battlefield here. This one happens to be Nylea. Gods are in limited. They're very tricky. They're not easy to get value from you. When they become a creature, they are insane.
Yeah.
And when they're not that great. They're a card you have to kind of work with.
They're far more like late game cards. They're kind of like JMD tombs or like artifacts or something where you know they're good mana sinks and they have a minor effect on the board.
Right.
I mean, I'm definitely not going to argue with all my creatures having trample in a green deck.
Right.
And you know, the boost effect is good. It allows you to win most combats, but it's expensive. But of course, when you do get that 5th point of devotion, the game suddenly swings around a little bit.
Yep.
We see a lot of Minotaurs in Isak's hand, but not a huge amount of mana to play them all, though he's going to get a couple onto the table right now, it looks like. Yuya, no cards in hand, but that is not really what's operative when you have a Prognostic Sphinx.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be drawing something good every turn.
Right. We see a Skull Cleaver here. It's got its trigger and it's attacking as a 4/2.
A relevant aspect here. Yuya not really a fan of taking 4 damage from that, but if he blocks with a green creature, he's going to lose devotion for Nylea. And given that he knows what's on top of his deck with Prognostic Sphinx, I think he's going to prioritize getting that 5th point of devotion very highly.
Yeah, he's 1 away from making Nylea a creature, correct? 1,
yes,
2, 3,
that's
4,
exactly right.
Okay. And remember, he's just got to scry 3 thanks to Prognostic Sphinx, so he could easily set up the top card of his library to be the one that enables Nylea to become an actual creature and start attacking. It's pretty exciting stuff here at Pro Tour Theros. We're in round 2. So very early on, this is the first draft of the weekend. There will be another one tomorrow.
Which I'm going to be excited to see.
Me too.
Yeah, Isak down to 10 life too. I mean, Watanabe threatening lethal with a combination of attacks because that Sphinx is getting through. And something is going to need to block Nylea if Watanabe has another green source. I kind of assumed that he was scrying to the top, just digging for any green permanent, but it's possible he wasn't doing that and just saying, look, I'm going to draw just some good cards.
Yeah, we saw him put 2 cards on top.
Yeah.
So he definitely had his choice, and he knows what he can get, what he's going to draw next turn, even if he doesn't attack.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got a lot of options here. I mean, the thing you want to make sure to do in this slot is not die. You're going to be playing around the Black-Red Minotaur Lord whenever you see your opponent have a pair of Minotaurs on the table.
Yes.
Again,
the Kragma Warcaller.
Kragma Warcaller, exactly. And 2-headed Cerberus can deal tons of damage out of nowhere.
Yeah, a card that I've seen quite a bit, though. I don't think it would actually be super amazing here because of the fact that all of Gabby's cards are red. Is the wannabe Minotaur, right? Mogus's Marauder.
The devotion. Yeah, exactly. Mogus's Minotaur, of course, gives all of your creatures intimidate for each devotion you have to black. Now, Gabby, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of devotion to black right here.
All right, so here's a trigger, and you were right. Yuya did, he was just thinking things through, but he did actually get Nylea into active mode. Now, she doesn't have trample, but everybody else does, and she's a 5/5.
I think she's a 6/6.
I think she's a 6/6 indestructible. So really just a huge force to be reckoned with here. And Yuya puts a card back on top of his library thanks to the Prognostic Sphinx, which looks like it's going to get through unscathed either way. So Gabby's sitting at a virtual 7 life, and that means that he actually could just take this hit from Nylea this turn, but it means that the Sphinx is likely to kill him the next. So he's probably going to have to throw a chump block in front of Nylea, I'd assume here.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And the question here is just what is the least likely creature to give you some way to win the game?
Yeah.
And I think that's the Cerberus right here.
All right, so Jimmy Hartman on our back table. The string of upsets continues. We have Reed Duke falling to Jimmy Hartman. He said he rides a Biden of Thassa to the victory, is what I'm being told by Rashad. 2-1, Jimmy Hartman over Reed Duke.
Yeah, in other news, attacking and drawing cards is very good.
Yeah.
I know no one would have guessed that. So what we see in the feature match area are 1, 2, 3, and 4 ranked players. Right now, it looks like 1, 2, and 3 have all fallen.
Right.
And have been upset right here. So just some potential shaking up of the race.
Yeah. So Yuya Watanabe, he attacked with both. There was a chump block on Nylea with a 2-headed Cerberus, but he also used Nylea's ability to do 2 more damage to Gabby via the Prognostic Sphinx. He can pay 3 and a green to give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn. All right, so Gabby is now taking a look at his hand here and trying to decide how he can come away with this.
And sorry, I got my rankings a little bit wrong. It's 1, 3, and 5 that have currently fallen. Ben Stark, obviously, we featured round 1.
He's sitting in 2.
He's sitting in 2, yeah. So he already got his feature match. So
and he won.
We're looking a little bit at it. And he won.
You know, we were remarking that actually in the feature match area earlier that our Hall of Famers, you know, we had all 3 of them. We also had Chris Pikula, who was almost elected in the Hall of Fame. They all won. They swept, and now, you know, we've got these power hitters from the top 25 rankings list, and they are just dropping like flies here in the feature match area. Now, Gabby's getting aggressive here. He's going to attack with his Borderland Minotaur. He's also sending in his Ill-Tempered Cyclops. Mr. Grumpy Pants there is battling. What's going on here, Zach? Is he trying to take Yuya off of Devotion?
I think that's exactly what's going on. I think he also just has to attack.
He's just desperate.
I mean, he's like, it's like an alpha strike, they call it, right? I mean, he's featuring 5 lethal damage in the air, period. So you kind of have to hope your opponent just is like trying to play super conservatively, maybe like you said, overvaluing his Nylea and giving you an opening to hit for enough damage to use your boon of Erebos to push through the last few points.
In conjunction maybe with a monstrosity from the Ill-Tempered Cyclops.
Exactly,
that kind of
obviously a great combo with the trample ability.
Unfortunately for Gabby, he's playing Yuya.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Yuya's gonna think through every possible option here. And I mean, I certainly don't blame Gabby for making this play here as he is facing lethal damage. But it doesn't look like, remember, even if Nylea becomes not a creature anymore, she still is going to be on the battlefield. And she is, in fact, not a creature. Devotion has dropped well below 5 here, but she does have the ability to pay the mana, and there's nothing for 1 black mana that matters here, right, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
I don't think there's there's nothing that reduces that Prognostic Sphinx down enough to make this happen.
Making sure to scry for value Yuya over here.
And, you know, Gabby really does have to sit there and wait because he has to make sure that Yuya does it. And there it is. Yuya Watanabe activates his Nylea to finish off Gabi Isak, and that is going to put Yuya at 2-0 here. So good for him. He held the fort down for the highly ranked players down in our feature match area here.
The highly ranked players / the Yuya 2-time Player of the Year squad.
Yeah.
people always talk about how Japan's not as dominant as it used to be, but Yu-Yu certainly is.
Zach, let's take a look at Nylea, God of the Hunt. This is the first time that we've had one of the, I love saying this, by the way, legendary enchantment creature god, right, on the battlefield. Walk us through how these gods work.
Yeah, so the whole idea behind the gods was that, you know, they're gods, so when they have followers, they kind of come to life. That's what the devotion represents. So you get a bunch of followers, and eventually your god kind of awakens and starts to wreak havoc on the battlefield. That is just one of the most beautiful
designs you guys have ever done. I mean, it even harkens to these subtle things that you hear about, you know, these mythological themes, which is that the gods were fickle. And if you didn't follow them, they would do bad things. But you know, if you get a bunch of people together on a field and you're like, we really dig Nylea, she might even show up and hang out for a while.
We need some help. Yeah, she'll come chill out at your party.
Yeah. I honestly just think that is, you guys are brilliant for coming up with that. It is so resonant.
Well, I will be glad to call myself and the other developers in the set brilliant.
You earned it this time.
A thing that did happen in development is that the costs of these were reduced. Originally, they were 6-7 mana creatures, but they, you know, we tried to get them down a little bit less expensive, so that if you were able to get a great devotion draw, they could start hitting early. You see on the slide there, Burning Tree Emissary. There's a mono green deck that plays Colonian Tusker. Obviously, these are all cards that really help your devotion. Very
for
early.
Standard.
Yeah, in Standard. Also, the trample ability, you know, it's one of those things that, like, how much should you pay to give your creatures trample? Well, not a lot until it's there. Yeah. Right? And then, you know, that combines great with monstrous ability, monstrous creatures like Pelucranos, just sort of creatures that can
Centaur
get huge.
Battle Master.
That's
what
devotion.
He needs is some way to get through all that damage.
Right. I think Scavenging Ooze can get quite large. So, I mean, you know, all the abilities add up. And again, 4 mana to give something +2/+2, not an exceptionally good rate, but it's the threat of the ability. So many times it's so powerful.
Yeah, really cool seeing the gods in play. They've been an interesting case study for Limited because, you know, if you open one up, the temptation is to be like, sweet, and just windmill slam it. But they're actually pretty tricky to make work. If you can manage to set yourself up such that you are monocolored in there, or at least your permanents are heavily favored towards that color, you can make them work. If you don't, it's often correct to not play them, which is weird.
It is weird.
It wasn't what I thought when I first read them, and I appreciate that complexity that you get from this level of card, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing a few of them in the standard portion later today. Welcome back to the booth, guys. Marshall Sutcliffe here with Zach Hill, having a little chat about the gods.
Yeah. Another great combo, by the way, is a god and the god's respective weapon. That is going to add 2 more devotion to your side of the table and basically give every one of your creatures about 400 million different abilities.
Yeah, and those things, you know, to flip side that coin in Limited, oh my goodness. Those are just straight up scary. Yeah. All right, so we're ready to head back over to the news desk where Rich awaits after that, round 3 here from Pro Tour Theros. See you guys in a bit.
Hello, everyone. Rich and BDM back here with you. My lord, this draft's going fast.
Yeah, they're like, BDM, Rich needs you back in the studio. I'm like, wait, what? I just doing a broadcast news run through the hall.
Yeah, absolutely. We're keeping an eye not just on our 2 feature pods, but some other matches around. Olivier and Antoine Rouel, both Hall of Famers from France, are here. And Olivier is winning. He defeated Grand Prix winner Mark Lolligue in the last round to go to 2-0.
I just spoke to Olivier.
Oh, right.
I was like, oh, you know.
How is he? Has he been?
He's great. He's like, I don't have as much time for traveling and Magic right now, but, you know, I'm excited to play here. And I'm like, oh, you know, how's your deck? And he's like, limited or constructed? I'm like, well, constructed. He's like, I don't know. And he's like, limited? He's like, well, not very good. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, I'm 2-0.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, okay.
Sure.
He's like, you know, the last time I was 2-0 at a Pro Tour was probably 2005. And I was like, oh, how'd that season work out for you?
Yeah, so he was like running. That was the toe-to-toe with Kenji Samura for Player of the Year?
Yes. Yeah, that was one where he just kind of ran out of gas in Japan. Like, he just literally seemed to deflate from all the travel and the relentless competition.
Well, Kenji Samura won in 2005, taking the title from Gabriel Nassif. I have his result come in. He's 1-1. Owen Turtenwald is 2-0. Sam Black is 2-0. Samuel Estrati, modern master, with his win at Pro Tour Philadelphia 2011, is 1-1. But let's focus on our 2 featured draft pods. Let's take a look at our mini leaderboard within our 2 pods and see what we've got. So on the left of the screen is our first pod, right of the screen, the second. So they only play within their respective sides of the screen. So let me see. Hannes Karem still playing at 0-1. Walter Scuderi of Italy, he is 2-0 thanks to a 2-0 victory over Liu of China. Andre Prost has fallen to 0-2, and that's because Chapman Sim of Singapore has opened his account. And you see down the bottom there, Pierre Dajon of France has leapt out to a 2-0 lead. That is because he has defeated Ben Stark.
What was Pierre's resume like again coming into this event?
Solid. You know, he's what I would call a European Grand Prix regular. So when you see on day 2 a lot, but not necessarily on Sunday evening.
Sure.
All right, he's one of those guys. But France is having quite the resurgence. Not only are they team world champions, but you've got Jeremy Desardi, one of the best Grand Prix records anywhere at the moment in the world. You've got Timothée Simoneau, similarly a Grand Prix winner, and you've got the likes of Louis Deltour, Dajon. Right. Suddenly,
and perhaps the cheers from the crowd as the French team won the World Magic Cup wakened the sleeping Ruel brothers out of their, their slumber.
France is good
their
again.
Enchanted sleep.
Oh, my Lord. So that's on the left-hand side. What is this guy like? And then on the right-hand side of the big board, as you can see there, you have the matchup between, you've got David Caprioli of Italy. He has gone to 2-0 because he is a winner again, this time over Dusty Ochoa, 2-1 that one.
Eric Froelich at 0-2 I don't know the last time that sentence has been uttered at the Pro Tour.
And that's because Mariano Cartacchini of Argentina has his first lifetime Pro Tour win. It is over Eric Froelich, so congratulations to him. Good news, Mariano, it actually does get easier from there, it turns out. Big match was Dave Kaplan up against Matt Costa. Kaplan wins again. Go Canada. 2-0. And there's an interesting sort of little subplot, BDM, to the Canadian story. There is team face-to-face games, which is
formerly team mana deprived.
That's right. And they're your usual suspects of Alexander Hayne and Kaplan and John Stern. But I had a bunch of emails in the last couple of weeks from Canadian Magic players, not who were qualified, they didn't have a sort of vested interest themselves, but they said, hey, listen, you know what? There is also a group of Canadian qualifiers who have got together and seen the success that Hayne and Co have had, and say, hey, there's no reason, sure, right now we're the Canadian B team, but there's no reason that can't mean that we can upset some people above us and fight the flag for Canada. So they're like quietly confident that they have some proper answers for this
And I believe that team is called, do you know their name?
Remind me.
Team Manners Deprived.
Oh, it never is.
It is.
Good Lord. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. So that's where we are in terms of that. Now, you're thinking, how do we find out this stuff? Why do people tell us this stuff? Well, partly it's on email, sometimes it's on Facebook, sometimes it's on Twitter. And if you want to get involved, you can use the hashtag PTTHS. It's up there on the right of your screen now.
Our Twitter names are down there.
Indeed, they
if you
are.
Want to talk to us,
indeed.
Sometimes we'll respond.
Because he responds. I just look at them and go, I haven't got time for this. So, over the last few weeks, people have been starting to use that hashtag and sort of gearing their way towards these 3 days in Dublin. And our producer back in Seattle, Garth Avery, put together a little piece for us, just sort of showcasing some of the tweets that are out there as we head in to Pro Tour Theros. Let's take a look. So there you go, some fun stuff from the PTTHS hashtag.
500 career matches for Bram Snepfangers.
Yeah.
Pro Tour Hall of Famer. He is here, by the way.
He is, but he is not a winner in round 2.
Okay.
Because he faced last year's Pro Tour Return to Ravnica champion Stanislav Sivka, and Sivka advances to 2-0. So Bram loses his 500th Pro Tour match, but phenomenal achievement.
Better luck on your 600th Pro Tour match, Bram Snepfangers.
Yeah, in the next few years. Martin User is now 2-0. He defeated Daniel Toledo to advance to 2-0. And I would really love to be proved wrong by Martin just dominating the whole thing and finally going third top 8, win the whole thing.
Well, you know what? You see that the Hall of Fame is sometimes a crucible for, really forging that sword that the players use to keep themselves going forward. Players not getting into the Hall of Fame has often driven players to succeed. Brian Kibler's 2 Pro Tour victories come after he had to fight his way back onto the Pro Tour because he was like, I kind of thought I was a Hall of Fame viable candidate. Oh, I'm not? Well, I'll show you.
Sure. And maybe that's exactly the caring that he needs.
And remember, Martin also had a very humbling World Championship.
For sure.
He had a very humbling World Championship, a Reed Duke, inverse of Reed Duke's season this year, but very similar to his Players Championship. I don't remember if he had 2 wins or 3 wins,
sure.
Martin, but I mean, he didn't have many of them.
Few wins.
Yes, well south of 5.
Yeah, for sure. Someone who we've already talked about this morning is doing well at the World Championship. We were impressed by Dmitry Budakov of the Russian Federation, a Magic Online competitor. I can tell you that he won this round. Sam Pardy, who is he's really straddling the 2 worlds very nicely now, a Grand Prix champion out in paper Magic, but also a MOX player. He lost this past round. I can tell you also, China's Zhu Wang, this just coming in from Nick Fong, has defeated Hannes Karem by 2-0 at one of our feature match tables. So what's coming up next? Well, we're in the middle of draft and we want to explore where the big cards go. And we've got a new feature for you now here at the Magic Pro Tour. So for the first time here at Pro Tour Theros, it's time for First Pick, First Pack.